Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Insurance Journal's Academy of Insurance's weekly webinar Aftershow. I'm your host, George, and joining me for the Aftershow today is the director of the Academy of Insurance, Mr. Patrick Raitt, and today's instructor. Today's class was, and I quote, "In the wake, personal lines issues after a huge storm." Our instructor today is Mr. Kevin Amrhein. Kevin, welcome to the Aftershow. It is fantastic to have you here. How are you?
Doing well. Pleasure. As always, good to see you guys.
Good to see you. And for those of you who are history-minded, I thought I'd change my backdrop to my background to show a scene from a famous battle in the Spanish-American War, the Battle of Kingsford Heights.
Nice.
That was what happened. Yeah, you like that?
Nice. Love it.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys. Hey, Kevin, you haven't done a personal lines class for us in a while, or you personal lines is like a thing you're super informed at, but I can't remember one since like maybe drones have Booze the webinar. Like, have you been sneaking in personal lines oriented information into your webinars, or I just don't remember you doing that much. You teach a lot of other kinds of classes. I was wondering and if that's the case, and why personal lines is something that you like to teach, or is it something not enough people teach that you feel like you have to step in and fill that gap?
I like teaching personal lines. I guess I tend to favor commercial lines more just because that was my experience. So I have more personal claims experience in commercial lines.
Okay.
But personal lines, I plenty of the homeowners, auto, been talking about it for years, and today was a perfect example. I have a very similar program that I did today geared towards commercial lines, commercial property. But just thought instead of combining the two, I'd just split them up, and that way the personal lines people can get their fix and commercial people can get their fix, and there you go.
This was an action-packed, information-laden class. I liked what you said about spoilage, and I don't know if you could, this isn't something that the insurance advertising community does, but maybe they should. Like you said, spoilage is not a great endorsement, but it's better than nothing for an endorsement. Like can you, is that true, or were you just being sort of like having a flair for the dramatic?
Well, the ISO endorsement that I referenced, I mentioned not being great only because it has such a low ceiling in terms of dollar amounts available plus a deductible. It's possible to get it without the deduct. Anytime you cite an ISO endorsement, there's very likely going to be other versions of it that companies can use that they'll either embed in the form or they'll offer better coverage. That particular endorsement I describe that way because the kind of person that is willing to pay for that coverage is probably going to need more than that. Somebody that says, I use the example of a 23-year-old bachelor who's got a 12-pack and some mustard in his fridge is probably not going to buy the endorsement. So the fact that it has a low dollar amount is immaterial. But a person willing to pay premium for that is probably the guy or the family that's got the bill. Every time they go to the grocery store, they're dropping $700-800, and the idea and the other main talking point there when you're talking personal lines, that's a big issue in commercial too, but we can focus it more on industrial exposure. In personal lines, that is one of those expenses that might be easy to overlook because we're always looking at the big picture. The agent is looking at the house being obliterated, the car having a tree branch dropped on it and being totaled, the big stuff, right? And we don't want to bother ourselves with things like needing a new freezer and refrigerator full of food. That just seems immaterial. But if you ask the insured what comes to mind when a hurricane comes through, I mentioned this in one of the other sections of the class. I said, you ask 100 people what are you most concerned with if there's a hurricane? I don't know. 75 of them would probably say the power being out. Like the majority of people would say the being uncomfortable. And we know that that's pretty low on the priority list. I mean, what you should be saying is losing my house, or God forbid somebody gets hurt. But people don't think that way. They think about being uncomfortable, and that spoilage issue feeds right into that. You might lose an insured over that. They find out that their neighbor's insurance company gave them some money to go shopping, and your insurance company didn't. I mean, it might be $300-400 that breaks the deal,
Right.
So it's a little thing, but I always start off with that discussion because I don't ever want insurance people to forget. I know that we think these people don't care, and we think that that's where we come in because we have to do what's best for them because they're such children and don't know any better. But, you might want to consider what they want once in a while, what's important to them, even if it seems small to you.
Kingsford Heights. Never forget.
Yeah. Kingsford Heights. What's a bag of the King going for these days? That's not I don't think that's a charcoal grill, but you could do a lot of damage with bricks.
That may be why that happened. Someone put charcoal in this propane grill. I don't know.
Yeah.
Patrick, what did you think of Kevin's class in particular, and what do you think of the personal lines topic in general, factoring in the ISO part of it?
So it reminded me of a story a friend had told me years ago at a particular property insurer here in the state of Florida, when they had added a $500 limit for food spoilage into their homeowners policy. And they were here in Florida. Kevin, that when a storm happens, there's a big village set up in a parking lot with all the insurance companies come in, the OIR shows up, everybody has this big village, and some guy shows up and says, I want my $500. What do you want your $500 for? I heard that you have $500 of spoiled food coverage, and I want my $500. Do you have a policy with us? No, but I want my $500. And that was the conversation that came up in the middle of, Hurricane Central. But I appreciate the topic. And one of the things that comes up, it seems like it comes up every year at hurricane season, is people wonder if there's going to be coverage for their expenses if they have to evacuate. And, we talk about, property removed or, taking the property somewhere to protect it from a covered cause of loss. But people want coverage for that if they've got to get out of Dodge for a hurricane, and there's no coverage in the form. And that's one of those key things that I think is important for the insured to recognize, is that if the county says get out, then they should get out, but they're going to foot those bills themselves.
And that's going to be a problem because we evacuated. I use a personal example. When Hurricane Irma, this is going back to 2017, Tallahassee dodged a big bullet there too. Irma was coming right at us, and then Irma decided this is a stretch, but Irma, watching the path that Irma took reminded me of this kid that I had driver's ed with, who I told you it's a stretch, but the deal in driver's ed was if you hit a cone, you failed. Okay. So they set the cones up, but if you hit one cone, you failed. Jerry hit the first cone, the first one, and he had like 8 of them left. So this is like something you'd see in a movie. It was like slow motion. The coach goes over, one of the coaches taught driver's ed, tells him to get out of the car. Jerry just locks the door, hits the gas, and just intentionally rammed all the other cones because he was like, whatever, I already failed. But he's kind of going like this, hitting all the cones. And when I watched Hurricane Irma's path, I said, Hurricane Irma is Jerry, and the cones are every major metropolitan area in the state of Florida. And it's just taken all of them one at a time.
Hit everybody.
and somehow managed to miss. We missed the worst of it. Now Tallahassee still got tropical storm force winds and things, and I had some trees come down. But we evacuated for that storm because the forecast for Tallahassee was horrendous. Like, this was going to be the one,
Mm-hmm.
And to evacuate meant we had to find some place. Half the state of not half, but millions of people were told to leave. So now where are the hotels? What are they going to charge you? You got pets.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big gas is an issue. And you're absolutely right that people say, well, I had to leave because of the hurricane. Every expense flows from the hurricane, and that factors into the power outage part of that class too.
Mm-hmm.
That's that linear thinking, very logical. Maybe it should work that way, but the policy doesn't allow the policy doesn't, it breaks the chain and so on. So I love the music. Am I getting the Oscar speech?
No, I was trying a music effect called night driving because you went to driver's ed with that guy, but
okay.
But it wasn't car sounds; it was just pleasant night music.
I thought maybe I was getting the played off stage, which, you know what, that's probably fair. I probably should have stopped 10
And the winner is Kevin Amrhein. This is Kevin's third nomination and his first award.
Hang on.
Oh, here we go.
I'd like to. I just don't want to miss anybody. My manager, Patrick Raitt. My designer, Patrick Raitt.
Talk him out.
Yeah.
We'll be back after these messages.
Yeah.
And thank you, Kevin.
Here comes Jimmy Kimmel with some completely off the cuff but incredibly hilarious joke, and yeah.
As long as it's not Will Smith, right?
Yeah, I don't want to be on stage with him.
Yeah. Kevin, my favorite slide of your whole presentation was damage to temporary shelter. And I don't want to damage anyone's temporary shelter, but you had a picture of a dog eating a couch. And is that something that is generally covered under that? Or is it like, do you have to name that particular peril? Like a dog's anxiety chewing a couch? Or
Well,
come on.
Peril would be the property term. So what we're looking at when we talk about damage to other people's stuff would be liability. And the issue with that conversation is that the policy does not look favorably upon damage to rented property or property that is in your care. So the place that you rent being that rented property. So if you brought the dog with you and the dog caused the damage to the rented property, or the kid damaged the rented property, or the adult damaged the rented property, it wouldn't make a difference. The policy excludes that as liability. You're not going to find coverage for something like that under Section 1 property. The dwelling and other structures coverage is not going to apply to a place that you rent. So, it's not a peril. It's that you're not looking for a covered peril, so to speak.
All right.
Fair enough. Shift that back to a first party loss. Let's say that the dog chews up your own couch or damages your own house. Now we would be looking for something under Section 1 property, but there would be no coverage because, first of all, it's not going to be a covered peril for coverage C, personal property. And second of all, that's going to be excluded because damage. It's going to be excluded for the dwelling because damage caused by animals is excluded.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Got it.
But
Kevin,
the dog, the kid, the grill, setting the house on fire. The exception, of course, that I did mention, the burn baby burn exception being if the damage you cause, if you could teach your dog how to ignite the couch that he just chewed up, then, now we're talking. That's a really smart dog and one that probably wouldn't eat a couch.
Look at me.
Yeah.
He puts the couch on fire. Got it.
Yeah. No offense to anybody whose dog is eating the couch. I'm not saying your dog is dumb. I'm just saying it probably doesn't know how to commit insurance fraud. That would be a really smart dog.
I'm not a dog owner, so none taken, Kevin. Kevin, we've got you one more time this year, at least. I think just once, but I don't know. Just use mine for money. Issues with rentals. What are we going to expect in that class in a few weeks?
Yeah, that's a topic I've always been fascinated with. People have found ways to monetize basically everything. We talk a lot about renting out your home, renting out your vehicle. Those are things that I'll talk about in that program, but it goes farther than that. You know, there are people who rent out themselves to do various projects and chores. There's people that rent out their garage space for storage, rent out their maybe property that they own, not necessarily a house, but a piece of property they own so that somebody can park an RV on it or park a boat on it. People will rent out their boats, their motorcycles, their, recreational vehicles, all kinds of things. And I've always been fascinated by that. So that's a class that talks about a lot of those different things. We will talk about the home and the vehicle rental, but we'll also go beyond that because there's a lot, the home and the vehicle rental gets a lot of coverage. A lot of people teach on those things, and that's good because you still get tons of questions about it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you so much. Patrick, thanks for coming to the after show. Really great to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me, Georgia. Always glad to come.
If I didn't, Kevin would be like, well, where's Patrick? I'm like, I don't know. But not to mention, you're a fantastic guest. So thank you so much for being that.
Fantastic.
We've had a great day full of stuff today. Why not have an after show?
Absolutely. Kevin, thanks again for everything today. Your knowledge, your just everything, your warmth, your humor. It all contributes to another successful Academy class. So thanks again. Thanks again for everything. Oh, and Patrick, wait, everyone, Patrick's going to speak.
No. We've got our podcast next week, and I'm expecting a full, at least 30-second breakdown for Happy Gilmore 2.
Isn't it the 12th? I think not next week, but the week after, right?
Week after, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone follow the Academy on LinkedIn and look for a link to the next installment of the Golfertainment George and the Florida Insurance Men podcast, starring these three guys right here. So, Patrick, thanks for the plug.
That's what I do. Plug
Absolutely.
Holes. Or make holes for plug.
Thanks for coming to the after show, everybody. On behalf of Patrick Raitt and Kevin Amrhein, this is your host, George, saying, everyone, have a great day. Take care of yourselves, and we will talk to you next time, if not sooner. Take good care. Yeah, that's right.
Cheers, everybody. That's good playoff music.
There you go.